BioWare, once great studio creating bangers like Baldur's Gate, Knights of the Old Republic, Dragon Age and Mass Effect, today associated with more ruined franchises and unfinished projects than actually games that released and were celebrated. And the cracks were visible for a while now, those started to appear with a release of Mass Effect 3 and Dragon Age 3. But those two games were still really good, despite of the problems that they had. And since then we received Anthem, which was just a downhill ride, Mass Effect Andromeda, and right now we actually have Veilguard. We are still on the same ride downwards, but it also somehow became a Disney ride. Dragon Age games were always uneven. First one is borderline masterpiece, second game left majority of the fans disappointed because of the drastic change of style and combat. Inquisition went straight up more open world, but it resulted in, as some would call it, single player MMO game. But the Dragon Age games always had one thing in common, which was all of these games were actually a dark fantasy games. And the gameplay trailer for Dragon Age Origins looked like this, really brutal, with Marilyn Manson's "This Is a New Shit" blasting in the background, and it led us to Veilguard, looking like Disney Pixar animation with terribly written, whimsical characters and Harry Potter-esque music that makes you feel like you're playing a kid game which is somehow rated M for mature. But let's start from the beginning. This game was announced around 8 years ago and was changed, remade, scrapped and done over again. Even went through the title change because it was supposed to be called Dreadwolf, but they swapped it and we received Dragon Age Veilguard. And Dreadwolf would probably be a better title and it would make much more sense when you look at overall story of this game. At one point the game was also supposed to be a live service garbage, but it was also scrapped, and when you play Veilguard you actually see that it looks like it is actually true. It looks poor, uninspired, and it feels like it was supposed to be a live service game when they can actually add new bullshit without much work put into it. Level design, combat, enemy attacks, boss fights, loot, everything in this game stinks of live service, but it's not live service. Carefully designed corridor levels which don't allow you for much exploration, handful of enemies and majority of them share similar attacks, boss fights which are uneventful and always play in the same way, usually sharing the same moves and same attacks, and usually the boss is going to be a human, always the same looking demon or a dragon. Even when you enter the place called Crossroads in the game and complete collecting 3 Revenant essences, you are going to get to fight something called Ancient Threat, sealed behind the blind. And this Ancient Threat is another dragon. Loot, open chests while running through the levels and receive some equipment piece for you or your companions. You may also pick up some wallets and you receive some gold coins that you get way too much in the game, and also sometimes you can slam into boxes and receive wood for your upgrades. I'm not joking. Most of the loot is useless though, because after like 30 hours of playing the game, I had items that even if I upgraded them, because there is an upgrade system in the game when you can upgrade every single piece of equipment, and even when you upgrade these pieces, they are not going to be better than the ones you already had. So most of the loot that I was getting in the game was basically garbage that was just lying in my equipment, and that's it. And to be completely fair, the combat in this game, despite of having samey feel all of the time and being pretty stale, it does flow and plays definitely better than it looks on the gameplay. It does seem like they tried to at least replicate something of a God of War type of gameplay if it comes to the combat, but it does feel pretty mediocre and but it flows. It flows. And also because of doing this God of War-esque type of combat style in this game, they completely abandoned you controlling your companions. You can only give them some, hey, use this skill right now and make combo with me, but you cannot just take control over your companions and play as them during the fight. It's completely stripped down from the game and becomes just more action focused. And also you can use these companions, they have like certain abilities, and you have this mechanic in the game where you have to open the menu of action and command your companion to open some lock or maybe destroy the blight that you can't destroy. So the griffin, the Asan from Davrin is going to fly in and destroy the blight, but at the same time you don't need a specific companion to do stuff in the game when you are out in the field, because you have a dagger. So if you even have Lucanus and, for an example, Harding, but you have to destroy the blight and you would need Davrin for that, you don't have to have Davrin, you don't have to come back to this place, you just pull out the dagger, wave it in the air, and Griffin comes flying by and destroys it. If you want to open some lock because it's broken and you need Bellara and you don't have Bellara in your team at this time, also you click the dagger and everything is fine. So I don't know what's the point. It would actually kind of add some more value to having certain companions for some quests, but they kind of completely abandoned it and went full route of, oh, let's just add this MacGuffin that we have in the game and just attach every companion ability to this dagger, so you don't have to have the companions with you. And do you know how you obtain more health, how you extend your health bar? No, by unlocking the skills in the skill tree, not by upgrading your equipment. No, you just activate the altar and you shoot 5 thingies floating in the air and you get plus 100 HP. I'm not joking, this is an actual mechanic in the game that is an RPG. And the most fun I had playing this game was just taking enemies to line up on the edge and using my arrow skill to shoot them out of the map so they aren't going to be automatically eliminated. They never come back. So if you want to complete fight faster, just throw the enemies off the cliff and that's basically the entire fight. However, after roughly 10 to 15 hours it becomes boring, that you don't want to really engage with it and you find yourself avoiding enemies. After 25 to 30 hours, whenever I was given a chance, I started running past enemies because I felt like I'm just wasting my time and I didn't want to fight them, so I was just running through the enemies. And despite of doing that, before I finished the game I still reached the maximum level. The quests are painfully similar, like you will always have the same type of activity. Run through the points as the game commands you and enter the arena, defeat the enemies, and then maybe pick up some object and run to the next point. You will also have doors to unlock, destroy red crystals in order to get the barrier down, and destroy the blight, which is a bunch of fucking pimples, in order to unlock the door on, or maybe ladder for a change. And yes, blight in this game got reduced to pimples blocking the door and you have to destroy them to pass further, and this is blight in this game. Also, riddles designed for idiots. Place this square into this hole to unlock the bridge. Move this statue to face the barrier and you're going to make it disappear, and now you can open this chest. The most boring, unimaginative level design I've seen in years. And even with that shitty level design, that is probably the safest and the easiest thing that they could have done, they still left tremendous amount of bugs, which as you progress further into the game, they become more visible. There's more of them. I had completely broken side quests and I was forced to reload the save for it to actually fix itself. One time I fell from the platform, and usually the game teleports you back to the steady ground. There's no fall damage in this game. You cannot die by falling. There's even achievement for you to fall down and see that you're not going to get the damage. So the game, when I fell down, went black screen and I had only HUD visible. it forced me to reload the save. And at one point, I started lagging so much it failed to spawn enemies and it just froze me into place, and I had to wait till enemies will magically appear. And this also broke Nvidia Shadow Play and completely destroyed the gameplay from this point forward. So I don't even have the way to show you how this occurred, because the gameplay was straight up cut and it screwed up the rest of the gameplay. I only have this small segment that I can actually present it to you. Enemy attacking with the roots close to the wall actually gets you stuck and you cannot roll out of it, so you have to just wait till you die. Entering the last act of the game, the point where there's no coming back, you cannot go back and finish the missions that you left unfinished, the game started stuttering for me, and screen tearing was absolutely on another level. It absolutely would ruin any crumbs of fun you could actually have in this game. Up till that point, the game worked well and everyone is saying how well the game works. When you enter this last act of the game, the performance takes the complete shit all over the place. It just is unsufferable. The game also forgot that I already suffered through this classic barf scene, and it showed me the same conversation with Tosh that I already had for the second time before the quest happens where the scene actually appears. Achievements don't trigger, and sometimes they trigger in the wrong moments, sometimes they don't trigger at all. I didn't receive the achievement for clearing the ancient threat in the crossroads, but I got spent 52 points on Rook's skill tree after spending maybe like 47. And even on PlayStation trophies, the site, they are stating save before you attempt to achievement grind, because the game will sometimes not give you the achievement even if you finish the requirements. Enemy AI is bugged to the point when they just stand sometimes and wait until you headshot them few times and they die. Other times you can just stand on the balcony, and I played as an archer, so I could have just shoot everyone below and they couldn't do anything because the AI is so poor, they don't know what to do, so they just stand in front of the wall and they don't do anything. Writing is terrible and there is no options to be a baddie in this game. Everything is Disney-fied. Harry Potter-esque music blasting in the background, necromancer dealing with corpses in the fucking Dragon Age is the most friendly and helpful and always smiles kindly at you.
Poor souls. Oh. Professor Emmerich Volkaren of the Morn Watch.
Hello, Professor. We've never met, well, in person, but I've been writing to you.
Belara, my dear girl. What a pleasure. Surely you didn't come all this way just to see me.
Actually, we did. You see, we need a Fade expert.
I'm Rook.
Charmed.
I didn't expect such a warm welcome, considering.
Please, don't be put off. The workforce is perfectly harmless. By the spirits bound here, night and shadow, light and blood.
What are you doing?
Let your chains loosen. Let the Fade draw close.
The assassin that has demon inside of him is amazing, helpful, and family matters, Vin Diesel kinda guy. Elf who lost the brother behaves like a 19-year-old Californian chick.
Oh, shit! No! Okay. Try again. Deep breaths. There! Oh, God! Damn it! Oh, no! Sorry. Just breaking things.
Want help? I could, I don't know, kick it or something?
Oh, yes. Just be careful. Some things don't do well. If you break them, I mean.
Everything is colorful, and even darkness in this game looks like it's going to fucking hug you to death. There is almost no blood in this game. Everything is so flashy during the combat, so you're not going to witness the game. But even if there's some kind of an execution or mercy killing, the game kinda shies away from it and turns the camera away, so it's not going to show you how someone is getting stabbed. And the action of this game also takes place in Tevinter, which, to be fair, Tevinter is known in Dragon Age universe to have a slavery problem, and racial tensions should be through the roof in this region. But for some reason there is no mention of slavery in the game, there is no racial tensions, nobody is said negatively towards you. Even when you play as an elf, nobody questions you, everyone is super nice. Even if they meet you for the first time, everyone is super nice. Veil jumpers also are super nice, welcoming. You can't tell anyone to go fuck themselves, you can't make fun of anyone. Every option in the game that you are given to respond with is the same thing, just said with different words. And at some points I was given an option that I started talking to myself to think, what line would Dragon Age Origins give me in this place? In Veilguard, even when you have an option that states that you're going to call someone a fool or an idiot, the character in your game doesn't say these words. Instead of calling someone who's this fool, they are going to say, who is this? Instead of calling someone idiot, Rook is going to say, use your brain. There is no actual roleplay in this game. Also, as for your equipment, you have ability to change weapons. But this is an RPG game, a Dragon Age game, and there is no single broadsword in the game. There is no two-handed swords for you, even if you play as a warrior, which is just unimaginable. And this is an RPG game. This is a something that should be present in a RPG fantasy game, but it's not. But why add important actual gameplay stuff to your fantasy game if you can just say that you have an amazing character creator, which by the way was the only thing that was praised about this game, and in fact it's a big steaming pile of shit. You want to be progressive and give people as much shit as possible to create themselves in the game, but in doing so you actually are ending up discriminating against people who, I don't know, listen, I have bigger fucking ass than I can make it in the game. When you see my character, this is maximum chest size and maximum ass. I probably have bigger ass than this fucking character in the game because there is no option to do actual body metrics that actual people would have. But hey, you probably only want progressive people to clap because you added body scars, which kinda make totally no sense in the Dragon Age universe when you have magic and you would kinda probably deal with these things in a magical way. But hey, they only want empty claps from you, how progressive they are, and in the meantime they are going to discriminate against other people. And most trans people probably wouldn't like to be reminded in a fantasy game which has to take them out from the real world that they have scars. So I don't really understand the logic behind this option. But hey, hair looks nice, at least until the hair is not going to get messed up and look like a mop in the middle of the cutscene, because that happened a few times when I was playing the game. And you obviously do have main missions and side missions, because they still want you to believe that this is like an open world RPG, which all of these missions are the same. Most of the game, you will not be playing main quests though. You will in fact be running around like a fucking idiot, completing side quests for all the companions, about who you don't even give a shit about, because except Davrin, everyone acts incredibly childish and they are borderline fucking retarded. Or side quests from cities you get into from another bunch of people you don't give a shit about, even more than about your companions. And even when you feel like the quest has some potential, you are left always blue-balled. because the game doesn't reward you with some great boss fight or any meaningful choices that would influence the world or at least your team. No. Do you see this big skeleton thingy? Yeah, you want to fight it, right? Too bad, you will end up fighting a laser grandma that is going to have the same moves like every magician in the game. The skeleton thingy, you will watch the cutscene how your companions and you defeat the skeleton. All the time you will be helping a companion and you will expect some fight at the end of the story with Nev. Well, you get a magician in the red ball and you have to destroy crystals and defeating 3 small waves of enemies. That's a boss fight. But hey, at least during this questline you will be able to collect some rocks and go to the docks and throw the rocks into the water with Nev. I'm not joking, this is an actual mission in the game. And you also have Belara's side quest, which turns out her brother that she thought is dead, he actually is alive and he is kinda evil, working with the evil guy. So you have to try to save her brother, and that's the entire plotline. But there is probably the only one interesting storyline for the companion in this game, who tries to save griffins and from the Howler, because Howler wants to get the griffins and inject them with blight. So my only question is, why wouldn't you do it already? Like, you had the griffins, you just waited for us to find you, you fucking idiot. Other quests for Lucanis, for an example, basically take the last choice kinda away from you. You may lock the traitor in the prison or forgive him. Where's the actual Dragon Age type option? Kill him on the fucking spot. And last we have the Harding questline, which is probably the most boring one in the game, but for some people it may be kinda looking like this questline actually breaks the lore of Dragon Age, because Harding on beginning of the game touches the dagger that Solus tries to use to open the veil, to tear down the veil, and she gains magical powers, she can control certain stones, and also she gains the ability to dream. She has dreams, which dwarves can't use magic and they don't have dreams, but Harding is the only dwarf right now that can do magic and does have dreams. But it is all the result of the MacGuffin being the dagger that she touched, and she can only control certain stones, not all the stone. So I don't see personally this as breaking the lore. They kinda went the MacGuffin way and gave us the reason, but overall the story is kinda boring. And Harding is also the only character that has some prejudice against elves, because she does blame elves for what happened to her people, but at the same time she doesn't have any problem with Rook. If you are an elf, she doesn't have any problem with Dabrin or Belara. She only has the problem with Solus. Tash's story, Fun's favorite, is only about gender and being non-binary, and how Mother doesn't accept and understand that. Literally mommy issues in Dragon Age. Really heavy-handed messaging. Here you have the barf scene in its entirety.
Best part is, while Tash is pounding that snake's nose, she's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties, I was so proud.
Oh,
Ah, shit. They're still holding it, sorry.
What are you doing?
Pulling a barv.
Oh, okay.
a barv?
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune, from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crew's not good for morale, but there's not always time for big drawn-out apologies. So, when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right. Pulling a barv. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I'm glad the Lords of Fortune have Tasha's back.
Oh, Tash isn't the first non-binary member of the Lords.
Really?
It was a little before your time, but Horlicks was one of ours.
Huh.
Bastard looked better than I did in a dress or pants. And out of them, too.
Any reason you can't just apologize?
Sometimes people say, oops, sorry, and hope that fixes it. But they just want to get the whole thing over with. Trust me, I know. But pulling a barv, you sweat a little. Makes you think about it a little more. Shows the other person you mean it.
What if they mean it when they say they're sorry, though?
And that's the other reason. Some people mess up and get all dramatic. They make it about them. Oh, I didn't mean it right. I'd never do that on purpose. They feel so bad about it that it's on everyone else to smooth it over and make them feel better.
Oh, okay, yes, some people might do that.
Pulling a barve puts it on the person who screwed up. They made the mess, they fix it, done.
That's a nice rule. We could try it on our team.
At least you'd get a workout.
Ouch.
I didn't expect the Lords to care about the stuff. Me being non-binary.
Kirkwall taught me about family. If it matters to you, it matters to me. I mean, to the, Lords.
Oh. Thanks.
Anyway, where was I? So, there Tash is, thigh-deep in a snake's maw and still holding the giant ruby in one hand. I yell that we'll get them out of there, and Tash just yells back, "Get up its arse! I'll meet you in the middle!"
Okay, the stomach I get, but did it really have
Hey, who ate the last breaded cheese wand?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I guess I thought, well, I don't know what.
It's fine.
No, they're your favorite.
Bellara, I know you're sorry, but you did mess up.
I know.
And what do we do when we mess up?
Yes, you're right. I'm pulling a barv. 1, 2.
And the most weird thing about this entire scene, when you see it in its entirety, not just only small fragment, is how malicious it is. Because this scene is so preachy, but at the same time, Tash is coming out and automatically uses someone doing something that she doesn't like and is mad about it to force this person to actually do push-ups as an apology to them. The straight in your face, to the point where most players will not want to play this game because of this. And if that shit would be written by someone competent and not Trick Weeks, people would not have problem with it. But Trick likes to stick his beliefs in your face and expects you to praise him for it. Dragon Age was always progressive, and we didn't have a problem. Dragon Age Origins probably was the first game I've ever played when I could have romanced men when playing as a man. I was like, whoa, when I was playing the game. The Dragon Age Inquisition had Krem, a trans character that was born as a woman but lived as a man, and Krem was also written by Trick, and nobody had a problem. It seems like Mr. Weeks is regressing if it comes to his writing. Or maybe he lost his mind. It happened sometimes after 2016. In Dragon Age Inquisition, we also had mentioned Mevaris and presented more in the comics. She's also, in fact, a trans character that appears in this game, but here it seems like the whole goal was just to stick it to the charts and in the process shit on the entire game. The fact that the writing here is also terrible doesn't help your case. It makes it even more visible, like sticking to the charts was more important than actually writing a good dialogues. Tash acts like a spoiled 5-year-old and is really hard to listen to, and getting into a relationship with Tash, I do not recommend it. Why? Even for shits and giggles. It is unbelievable levels of cringe. I thought I'm not going to survive it.
Sounds like your mother was hard on you.
Nah.
I think your fingers are just perfect.
Yeah. So... Are you trying to have sex with me?
Hadn't really thought that far ahead, but maybe?
Quick, think about us having sex. So now we need to figure out if it's cash lock or Tom lock.
And those are...
Cash lock's just flirting. You look and make jokes and maybe think about him for fun. Tomlock is serious. Like you want to grab that and taste its neck right by the collarbone. So which is it?
Did you just smell me?
Yeah?
You can smell when someone is...
I have a really good sense of smell. Comes with the dragon stuff.
Well...
You still haven't answered the question.
So, which one was serious? There was something about tasting the neck?
Tomlock.
That's maybe where I'm at.
Good. Me too.
So... Want to smell my neck again? It wasn't a sure thing. It was so dark. Every mistake I'd ever made, every loss hitting me over and over again. I thought
Oh shit. Sorry.
On the other hand, I'm feeling much better now, so...
Okay.
You know how to welcome a girl back.
I will destroy anything that ever tries to hurt you.
Oh, sweet talker.
So... we're together now.
I hope so.
I don't know. I've never done this before. I've had sex. I meant being someone's...
Lover?
I'm never calling you that. Ever.
Consort?
No.
Oh, we'll figure something out.
I don't want to mess this up. How do I...
How do dragons show that they care about their mates?
Huh. Sexy growls. Sometimes little bits of fire and love bites.
That, well, that sounds really great to me. Yes, please.
Tarala.
Tarala? That's the Kunari word for mine?
Yeah. Because that's what you are. Tarala.
The entire games, in terms of writings, seems like it was written by people who don't actually know how people talk with each other. Feels like this is a bunch of Tumblr and Twitter terminally online hacks that somehow got Gag to write dialogues for Dragon Age game. Even despite of me liking Davrin, we also get this stupid fucking dialogue when he says, "Oh, bigoted humans against elves." What the fuck is going on?
What?
This is astounding. The ancient elves were spirits who voluntarily manifested a physical form.
I'd rather go back to talking about the Blight.
Hey, Lucanus. Could Spite turn into an elf?
No.
Sorry, but... What?
As world-shaking revelations go, finding out we came from spirits is kind of fun.
Really?
Actually, a whole lot of things make more sense now. Like why some magic works differently for elves than everyone else.
And we wouldn't have that magic if not for this.
The knowledge that an entire people were formed from a mass manifestation could change our entire understanding of magic.
If we let it out, is that the right call? Do you want bigoted humans yelling about how elves are demons?
Davrin's got a point. World's not short on small-minded humans.
This doesn't really sound like something that would be said in a fantasy game. It seems like this is a fucking modern Californian speak. And there is no tension between any members of your group, yeah, like they don't argue, and even if they argue, they are good like 5 seconds later. Like there is nothing in this group like someone dislikes someone and they will not go with you with this person attached or something. You don't have to fight over it, you don't have to like go for like certain quest to make them feel welcome both and start liking each other. No, everything just happens off screen. One time they argued a little bit, one got called elf and the other one got called a demon, and then like the next cutscene everyone is fine, everyone is happy, we are all friends because we are saving the world. And that's basically how this entire game and the dynamic between members of the group is made. There is no tension, there is no stakes, there is no nothing. And it is really painful because Dragon Age 1, 2 and Inquisition had great writing, and David Geider wrote also amazing 3 books: Stolen Throne, The Calling, and Asunder. And now we have Veilguard, the first game when Geider is not involved in, he's absent, because BioWare allegedly treats writers like garbage and treats them like they are unimportant to the game's success. So supposedly that's why Geider left. But you may be interested in the main story of Dragon Age Veilguard, which I will go full spoilers in, because to present how shit and uneventful this game actually is, there is no other way to present it. I have to go full spoilers. On the beginning of the game, your team tries to stop Solus from tearing down the veil that he created, and it results in Varric getting stabbed by Solus. Solus is getting locked in the veil, and 2 elven gods that names you will hear repeated throughout the game over and over and over again, Eldgonan and Gillenane, have escaped. So now these 2 gods control the Blight and want basically to rule the world and make everything and everyone blighted. Your protagonist, called Rook, is tied to Solus, and they have conversations with him in the dreams. And Solus, for the most part, explains that he had a plan to not free the gods, but he would free the demons, but he would fix his mistakes, and we basically fucked the entire thing up, and he tries to help us put this shit together and defeat the gods. As for the story setup, it is not terrible. It is mediocre, but it's not terrible. The problem is, that is basically the entire story of the game. All the main quests in the game, you are going to be through like half of them, you will be completing your crew. You will also meet Morrigan, which also doesn't look like Morrigan and doesn't speak like Morrigan, says things that Morrigan wouldn't said. She is a completely different character at this point. And you will also meet Isabella. You remember this character from previous games? Yeah, this is her now. Doesn't even look like her and doesn't behave like her, and who the fuck is this even? But okay, great. How to butcher characters. You would also meet the Inquisitor, your Inquisitor from the previous game, who, if you leave it on default, is going to be an elven woman who was in a romantic relationship with Solus. And there's a kicker, why they did this as a default. Because in order to get the best ending in the Dragon Age Inquisition, where you get to save Solus, you would have to be in a romance with Solus as the Inquisitor in the previous game. You can't copy the saves into the game, but you get to recreate your choices as the Inquisitor, like the 3 big choices that actually kind of matter in this game from the previous one. Otherwise, if you didn't romance Solus, you cannot get the best ending. The entire set of main quests is basically collecting your crew, and there are like 3 quests where some big events happen, and one of where you choose which city you are going to defend. You can choose to defend Dogtown or Treviso, and this is the only choice in the game that somewhat matters, because the other city that you will not be defending is going to be somewhat destroyed, and you will lose the merchant, and people who you meet in these cities are going to be kind of getting different dialogues and will not treat you as well as they would if you would defend the city. And if you are going to save Treviso, you will lose Nev for a few quests, and if you will defend Dogtown, you will lose Lucanus. And this is supposed to be like a high stakes quest, but when it comes to the boss fight, you just fight it for a few seconds and the dragon is called off, leaving you blue-balled once again. The second quest, when something actually happens, is the crusade against Gillenane to kill her and her archdemon. Another run through tight corridor sections and defeating same waves of enemies on the arenas in between, but overall the mission, this quest was actually pretty nice. It was nice setup. And it ends with a lackluster fight where you end up dodging left and right, and you end up killing her archdemon but not Gillenane, and killing archdemon makes Gillenane mortal now.
Davrin! Kill it! Now, Lucanus! Finish her! Let's go!
Give me another shot.
Too late! Back to the Alluvion!
So the next important quest is just a dragon fight. And to subvert your expectations, you actually get the second dragon here too, so you fight two dragons instead of one. Wow! So you have still the same moves, and one shoots fire, the other one shoots blue fucking beam, which is I think supposed to be electricity, but it's all the same shit. You kill both of these dragons, and Elganon saves Gillenane, and there is a really fucking stupid scene in here where Elganon stops everyone, freezes everyone, and just takes Gillenane and fucks off. He could have killed everyone on the spot, but he didn't, because Rook is influenced by Solus, and Solus is sealed in a veil. What is he going to do? He has no fucking power in this world. This is the shittiest explanation and the biggest plot armor I have fucking seen in the media.
Oh, sister, do not be blinded by righteous anger.
They stole Rosakill from me, Elganon. My greatest creation!
A thrall is easily replaced. You are not. Without you, the blight is a brute weapon. Only your hands mold it into life.
The mortals deserve worse, but we have crucial work in Arth.
After it is complete, one resists.
The Dread Wolf's influence. His presence lingers.
Ever defiant. For now.
In this quest you also have people from the city you saved previously coming in and helping you with the dragons, with ballistas. So you end up fighting an extremely easy fight, because every few seconds you can order them to shoot and deal really significant damage to the dragons. By the way, in order to have ballista against the dragons, it had to be another faction who came in using ballista against the dragons, because wardens are so retarded in this world that they couldn't figure out themselves that maybe ballista would be great against flying fucking dragons. No wonder Wetlands looks like a fucking ruin. There is also a really unimportant and stupid mission, like the fourth mention here, where you dress up as a cultist in a robe. They are called Venatori, and you get into their secret meeting with Elganon. But you are there as the only ones not wearing hoods with visible faces. Nobody recognizes you. Even more fucking laughable that the loudest one of them is Nev, who is the detective in the Docktown, and Docktown is basically at war with Venatori.
Is this elf your servant, my lady?
Dumat's teeth. Must I defend my entourage to every low-paid toady out here?
I'm sorry, my lady. I was given instruction to...
Tell someone who gives a damn. Why am I still waiting? Where are the gods? When does the ritual start?
Gods? But only the Lord Elgarnon is here, and he is still preparing.
Useless. Out of my way. It's Elgarnon, not Gillenane like we expected.
And in this place, this is the only line in the entire game when you have some hint that some people may not like elves. This is the biggest anti-elf, like a racism in Dragon Age against other races they could have done. In the region where there should be a lot of this. You ditch the ropes and start running away in the open without disguise because I guess creators wanted it that way. Like, instead of trying to sneak out, you have to fight your way out because you exposed yourself to everyone. Elgarnon knew that there are uninvited guests on this meeting, but he still didn't know who you are. So our syndromed Avengers decided to make it easy for everyone and expose themselves. And look at this scene. There is a fucking dragon there. He has a new dragon. Why isn't this dragon chasing us? He knows where we are. The Elgarnon knows where we are in this cutscene, but he didn't order the fucking dragon to attack? What the fuck is this writing? And that's basically all. The rest of the game are just complete side quests and companion missions to make them feel better and talk about their fifis, and you raise fraction strengths and in order to get a good ending. And when you get to this last 2 hours of the game, you will still be doing the same shit. I don't know what the fuck were the people talking about last 5 hours of this game being good. It is the same shit over and over and over again. You just run through tight corridors fighting the waves of same enemies. You have to choose who leads what and in order to get good or bad ending, and you don't really get to save all companions. Despite running like a fucking retard, completing all companion quests, you still have to sacrifice one of the companions. It will be either Davrin or Harding. And unfortunately I chose Davrin, who is the only somewhat likable character in the entire game. If I knew, I'd choose Harding. She deserves that ending for the fucking talks with Tosh he had throughout the game. If you combine Harding and Tosh together, in your team, you are greeted with the stupidest waves of dialogue you can possibly expect from this game. Second choice doesn't matter at all. You pick Belara or Nev, you will lose the companion till the end of the game, but they are going to be fine at the end anyway. The only three choices that actually matter is the last quest, where you go to fight Elgarnon, and if you choose badly, you will get people killed or bad ending, and the end of the game is really underwhelming. Once again leaves you blue-balled, and you get a cutscene where your companions fight Gollum. Not you though. No fun boss fights for you. Watch it as a cutscene. Instead, you're going to be greeted with the easiest fucking boss fight you have seen in your entire life against Elgarnon. because you don't even get to fight his archdemon, because Solus betrayed you and you ended up in the Veil. Your companions somehow managed to pull you out from the Veil. They couldn't pull out Solus, but they figured out how to pull Rook. So Solus got out of the Veil by trapping you in the Veil, and you find out that Varric was in fact all the time dead, and you were the only one who saw him because Solus made you to see him, to hide the fact that Varric is dead from you. Yeah, like it wasn't fucking obvious throughout the entire game, when nobody actually talks to Varric except for you. Nobody acknowledges his existence in the room. He also doesn't tell you anything that you shouldn't already know, because it is obvious that you're talking to yourself. Then you get Solus to help you. He tries to fuck you over again because he tells you he won't tear down the Veil again, because he doesn't tell you that if you kill Elganon, you will destroy the Veil in the process and it will come down. You find out about it from Bellara or Nev after they are blighted and saw Elganon's mind because of that, and they can tell you this crucial fact. So Solus takes on Archdemon, and you get the shittiest boss fight against the Elganon that is the same as every single other boss fight, but 10 times easier. You don't even get to kill him. In fact, you get the dumbest fucking scene, which doesn't make any sense, when Bellara or Nev, I guess, because I chose Bellara, sits on his throne, gets tentacles all over herself, and it's not hentai, so you know it's lame, and somehow she controls Blight, and they defeat Elganon. After that, you get the ending that you should get. If you completed almost all side shit, you get Solus crying and going into the sunset with the Inquisitor. If not, he gets imprisoned by force and tied to the Veil. Blight disappears. The end. There is literally nothing in this game that matters. The whole game feels like a tremendous waste of time. The only important shit is in the intro and maybe at the end with a good ending for Solus. And only thing that somewhat feels like Dragon Age is the bad ending where everyone dies.
Everyone! Everything! It is over!
Yeah, it is. Because it's not just my blood on that dagger.
No!
You were never ready to make the sacrifices that leadership requires.
It actually is the only thing that I could see belonging in the Dragon Age game. It was a mess from start to finish. And one thing that I also didn't mention previously about side quests, because it kinda is a spoiler, when you have your Necromancer side quests for Emmerich, you get a choice that you're going to save his skeleton friend, or you are going to push him to go to the Lich Dome. If he is going to take on the Lich Dome, he is going to come back and be your companion as a fucking skeleton.
Look, why don't we just start from the beginning?
Are you satisfied? Yes, I have entered Lichdom, and I am not an abomination, or a demon, or a disconsolate spirit. I have become something more. And yet I am still fully possessed of myself.
So you are a skeleton. Got it.
And you can romance him. So at this point you're fucking a corpse, kinda. Wow, that's kinda edgy even for Dragon Age. I'm stunned. But as someone who loves Dragon Age franchise very much, do I think this game ruins Dragon Age? I don't. Does it damage Dragon Age franchise? This is going to be different answer for everyone. Depends from you. Personally, I don't think this game causes really great harm to Dragon Age. I don't think it actually damages it. Is this game worth playing? No, it is not. I don't even think I would be saying that it would be worth picking on sale. It's simply not worth paying any money because you will just be wasting your time. And to be completely honest, the best thing out of this entire game is probably the soundtrack. Too bad everyone is going to be mad when listening to it because it doesn't sound like Dragon Age, it doesn't fit the game, and even when it's a Pixar-y kind of thing with Dragon Age Veilguard, it still doesn't fit. If you are listening it in separation from the game, it kinda is really nice. It's still Hans Zimmer, but it's not a soundtrack that is actually appropriate for this game. I am simply disappointed, and this game is not worth your time or your money.
So, I'm non-binary.
What does that mean?
What'd you bring me?